Step right up, dummies, and listen to the stupidest sports show on earth with Rodney and Tim and Stratton. Yeah.
Well, hello, dummies, and welcome to episode number 77 of the stupidest sports show on earth. We made it to 77. I am, as you know, Tim the Claw Van Stratton. Alongside me is Rodney Newpel from his home office. Rodney, how are you? Good evening to you.
Wonderful, happy Lucas show to you. It's one of your favorites, one of your favorite shows, episode 77. In the middle of a thrilling 8-7 Cardinal Cub game here, so a little sidetracked here, but 8-7, bottom 8 in St. Louis. So that's where we're at. But so I got a question for you. Is Dan being serious, or because I did not see it?
You haven't seen the countdown video? I've played it the last couple shows now. We've had a new countdown
today
video.
I did not. Last time I did not see it today. No, I agree. I agree. When I did see it last time, it is fire, but did not see it today for whatever reason.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's a little number that your boy put together a couple weeks ago. The idea was when we moved over to the new streaming platform, we were going to have this new sick intro. Everything was going to be cool. And then the thing just sort of was broken and didn't work. But I was like, we could still use the sick new intro and the countdown on StreamYard. So that's where we're at.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, good work. I did see it last show, so good work. And Dan also says good work as well. But doing wonderfully here and ready to talk some sports. NBA draft tomorrow.
NBA draft. We got NHL draft this week. I love that. Like the NBA and NHL seasons have ended and immediately they're just like draft free agency. Like they waste no time getting into that stuff before like totally going off the map. Because essentially with both of those sports, by the time we hit middle of July, they're going to be on no one's mind until October 1st at the earliest.
Oh, and that's probably generous. I mean, how many? Yeah, I mean the diehards, I guess October 1st, but like really getting in NBA and NHL is probably going to be more like January, right? When the NFL starts to wrap up.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
I mean, you and I do love October, November NBA just because of NBA DFS early on before people start to catch on to playing trends and all that. Like that's the best time to do it. So I love the beginning of the NBA season. And then you're right, it does reach a little bit of a lull. And then once football is done, you can lock in again for playoff races and such. But we got a good show for you tonight. Episode number 77, the Skinny Luca show, because it's not just Luca anymore, it's Skinny Luca. A reminder that if you are watching us, chances are it's on Twitter. Give us a follow at Stupid Sports Show on Twitter. There's no W at the end. Don't even think about putting a W because you will be wrong. Okay. Good. And also, if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're at, thanks for watching. Make sure to give us a like. Give us a subscription. We could use it to take down McAfee. All right, Rodney, I've planned tonight's show out a little bit, and I want to start in the obvious place. The Thunder, the Oklahoma City Thunder. It got scary. It got a little dicey, but the Oklahoma City Thunder are NBA champions. First time in their franchise history, at least in Oklahoma City, that the Thunder are champions. All right. First of all, before we get to like Game 7 and all that, I'm shocked at the number of people that are trying to discredit this and saying that this was an asterisk title and all of this stuff about how the Thunder, like it's like you've seen that too, right? And I'm stunned that a 68 win Thunder team suddenly we're trying to play like, oh, this championship shouldn't count as much as other ones. What am I missing there?
It's pretty silly. I mean, you're right. They've won 84 games. They won, the 68 and then the 16 in the playoffs. They looked fantastic doing so most of the time. Is it because of the Halliburton injury? I mean, I think they were going to win that game anyway, right? Like they're at home, they're ahead. I'm not asterixing this one. Oklahoma City was the best team from start to finish this year. It took them 7 games, but they got it done. And I'm not about to asterisk this one. This is a very good team.
Yeah, if they weren't a 68 win team, that was statistically the best team in the NBA the entire season. And like you look at their playoff run, okay, they got matched up against Indiana. It was a healthy Indiana team all the way up until Halliburton's injury in game 7. But like they faced a Denver Nuggets team that's just 2 years removed from a championship with the best player in basketball on it. They beat the Minnesota Timberwolves, who were back-to-back conference finalists. Like this wasn't a run where they got super fortunate in who they had to go through in the West. Like that's like if we want to play that game, we could look at any champion over the last however many years, and you could make an asterisk argument for them. Like Boston last year, they had that road. They got matched up against an Indiana team that Halliburton got hurt in that series, if you remember. And then they faced a Dallas team that was surprising like finals. Yeah, same thing. So,
for sure. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm not here for it. I just, every team gets a bounce or a break along the way, whether it's an injury, whether it's a series opponent that they're playing. And I didn't think Oklahoma City got any breaks besides maybe playing Indiana. But Indiana showed that they were playing obviously the best basketball in the East. So Indiana didn't fluke into the NBA Finals. They played well and beat some good teams. So not here for the asterisks on this one.
No, like, and we've talked about it before. Since January, Indiana has been the best team in the East.
Yes,
they started off so poorly that we just sort of wrote it off, and they won 50 games exactly. So we're like, they're just a middle of the pack team. But if the Indiana Pacers play that level from January to April, basically if they were the same team all year instead of like an October, November, December team versus what they are now, this is a team that would have won 60 games, and we would be talking about this totally differently.
Yeah, it would be two powerhouses because you have a 68-win team, Oklahoma City, and a 60-win Indiana. It would be one of the better finals of all time. But I agree with you. They started playing good basketball late in the year, and the East, they got the 5 seed, but those 4 teams that were ahead of them had a pretty good year, right? I mean, the Celtics obviously were the favorites coming in with the win last year. Cleveland had a historic regular season. The Knicks were very tough. Milwaukee, but they still have 2 of the best players in the world. So it's every time somebody wins a championship though. Oh, is there an asterisk? No, there's no asterisk.
I think it was Tom Haberstroh put out a great post today. It was a little bit of a clickbait because he's like, I slept on it. I had to do it. OKC's title deserves an asterisk. They join my definitive shortlist of championships with an asterisk. And of course, people didn't read the post and were like, what are you talking about, OKC with an asterisk? But then what he did is he gave an asterisk to every single NBA champion and listed like the reason why the champion, all the way back to like the first one in 1947, why that champion deserves an asterisk. Like it was a perfect troll job. Like you can absolutely make that argument for any single team in basketball history. Like there's always going to be a bit of luck involved in any playoff run. So to sit here and try to discredit an Oklahoma City team that according to the numbers had the highest point differential full season and playoff run combined in the history of the NBA. They were plus 1,247 over the course of their regular season and postseason. That's better
impressive.
than the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's Bucks. That's better than Michael Jordan's Bulls. That's better than Steph Curry's Warriors. That's better than last year's Celtics. Those were the 4 teams that were at the top of that, and the Thunder just beat them.
That's pretty wild. That's a great stat. Shows their dominance throughout the year, and that's a great stat to have on you. But that's a good article by what'd you say, Haberstroh? That's a
Tom
good article.
Every team.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good clickbait, and it's a good article. Good work, Tom.
It's good. It's a good troll. Like to just be like, hey, if you want to say this stupid stuff, like we can do it for every single team that's ever existed. Like I would much rather invalidate the Celtics, all of their titles in the 60s where there were 10 teams in the league, rather than what OKC just did. Speaking of OKC, real quick before we talk a little bit more about Game 7, just the series as a whole. Did Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just have the best individual season in NBA history?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I mean, obviously MJ did things like that during his time. He won winning the regular season MVP, the postseason MVP, winning the scoring championship, winning the NBA title. I think Jordan's claim ahead of him was he was a first team all defensive team, whereas SGA was not. But yeah, outside of arguably the greatest players, whether it's LeBron or Jordan, whatever you want to say. It really is. And
SGA, it was
SGA's not to that echelon yet, but like more of that he's going to be.
Yeah. So it was, to recap, scoring title, MVP, All-Star, first team All-NBA, conference finals MVP, NBA Finals MVP, NBA champion.
Yeah.
That's good, man. That's a good season. Good. Nice little run for SGA. Former Clipper.
Nice run. Yeah. I was looking at that today. Drafted by Charlotte, right? Drafted by Charlotte, immediately sent to the Clippers on draft day, and then and then Oklahoma City. So Charlotte and the Clippers kind of botched that one a little bit. He's in a former Kentucky Wildcat.
And a former Kentucky Wildcat. That's right. Yeah. I'll knock the Clippers a little bit more than I will for Charlotte. And that's, you know how these draft day trades work. It doesn't like it's one of those stupid things where he puts on the hat. Like I don't consider the Charlotte Hornets like, oh man, they messed up by trading Kobe. It's just like it's one of those things. I don't know.
Yeah.
And like he wasn't going to play there anyway. It just happened to. That's how it goes. But yeah, SGA in my view, it's like a top 2 or 3 season statistically. And just it's statistically, but also just the accolades that he earned. Like, it's incredible. It's incredible. Now, do you think? And we've talked about how you can't take any of these runs for granted. And every year we want to play the game of, oh well, the NBA champion. This is going to be the first of a decade-long run of excellence. We thought that Jokic and the Nuggets were going to go on a run, and I don't know if they will. I don't know if they will be an NBA finalist anytime soon. And we're waiting on Minnesota to make that leap. Like Boston, you can see how fast it can switch for them. They lost Tatum for the year, and now they're gutting their core just for salary cap reasons, right?
Right.
So, but OKC is such a unique spot because they're so young. All their guys are already locked up on very sort of friendly contracts, and they have like 3 first-round picks in this draft. They have tons of picks. They got like 30-something picks over the next 6 or 7 years. Yeah. Like it's unlike anything that we've ever seen for a team that's as dominant as them. So people are I think are not crazy to think that this team could have a sustained run in the NBA. Obviously that depends on SGA's health and stuff like that. But the way it's set up, like they should be the favorites for a while.
Yeah, I mean they would have an opportunity if they really wanted to in this draft to move up. I don't know, obviously if it's not Cooper Flag, I'm not sure they're going to be doing that. I mean, they're not going after the number 1 pick, but like they have the ability to get whatever pick they want with what they have available for trade. But yeah, Sam Presti, man, he's getting the job done there in Oklahoma City. I mean, he got a little lucky with SGA. I mean, nobody looked at him to be a mega suit this type of season. So but he saw it, and this was his, Jalen Williams. He moved up for him, so I do got to give Sam Presti up those props because he's done a nice job putting that roster together.
Yeah, and we talked about this weeks ago. They have a lot of these first-round picks, and their roster is built through the draft. They have one guy that was a high lottery pick, Holmgren. Because SGA was a late lottery guy, Jalen Williams was a late lottery guy, Cason Wallace I think was 10th. Like these are all guys that were taken 10th, 11th, 12th. Like they're not bona fide. Like, oh, this guy's a can't miss prospect. He's absolutely going to hit. And they've hit on so many of these guys. They got another one, and I was reminded of this when I saw just the photos of people posing. They drafted a guy, Nikola Topic, not to be confused with Nikola Jokic. Nikola Topic. He was their first rounder last year. They got him 12th overall. He didn't play for them this year. He had torn ACL, missed the entire year. So next year, they're going to have a guy who is another lottery pick that's going to be entering their lineup. He's 19 years old. He's a 6'6" guard, and he's going to be brought into that rotation now. That's insane. That's insane. Yeah. Plus another lottery pick that they're going to have now this year.
Yeah, no, it's wild what they've done and the way they put that roster together. And I think back when Josh Giddey was traded and people were kind of like, what's Oklahoma City doing here? Probably was the right move moving Josh Giddey. I mean, he's not obviously that franchise leader like, maybe some thought he could be, but yeah, they pushed all the right buttons, and I'm with you. Like I do think they will find some sustained runs here. Now, obviously, an SGA Achilles, and things change, right? I mean, like, and that kind of brings me to maybe our next topic here. Achilles. I mean, yeah, there's nothing more that I can say besides Tim totally called it.
I'm ready to make a declaration about just the NBA for a second. We need to start treating these calf strains and any sort of calf injury the same way that we treat in baseball when a pitcher's elbow starts to feel a little bit inflamed and it's like, hey, right, you know what? We're going to shut you down for a little bit. We're just going to rest. We're not going to try to push it. We're not going to rush you back. And because one bad pitch and you are out for 18 months.
Right.
And potentially you're not the same. We're clearly seeing more of these injuries in the NBA now. Like we've seen Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton this postseason, not even regular season, just in the postseason, right? So if the calf is bugging you, like
sit out,
shut it down. Yeah. And on a reason that I say like this works is Luka Doncic. He missed a few weeks this year with a calf injury. And I was reading something today that there were some like in the Dallas org that were like thinking, okay, 2-3 weeks, he should be back. Luka's camp saying needs more time. Ultimately, that's what they went with. It was a longer recovery time, but it was worth it. Like he came back, he was actually healthy and he was able to play. So it's like, we need to start viewing it in that lens because this has now become a serious problem. This is a serious problem enough the way the elbow injuries have become an issue in baseball.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and just the amount of and this is also why we get load management. It is.
Yeah, I know people complain about it, but yes, 100%.
It is. Like if you're going to force the dudes to play 82 games in a year, they're going to have load management more and more when stars go out, especially late in the season. Like we're not gonna risk a torn Achilles 8 games until the playoffs when we're the number 2 seed. Like we're just not going to do it, right? And so like I think that number of how many games that people are going to play is probably actually going to continue to go down. Like, if 60 if 60 was the number, 65, whatever, like I think we're going to start seeing some of these dudes at 58 and 55. Why play the whole year and risk that opportunity? And I totally get it. Like, yes, it sucks for paid customers, but man, you got to look at what's right for your player and your franchise, for your star in your franchise. And sometimes that's sitting and you just got to sit guys out.
Yeah. Even if it's the NBA finals. And like, it sounded crazy. I acknowledge that it sounded crazy. They were facing elimination at home, Game 6, NBA finals. It's not exactly the spot to like force it, but it just now, of course, hindsight, everyone's going to say it wasn't worth it. I'm sure, though, like going into Game 7, people were saying, like, thank God that we have Tyrese Halliburton on the court right now with a chance to win. And honestly, the way the game started, Rodney, like I had talked myself into taking the Pacers to win that game. And the way that the game started, Halliburton hits three threes, all like from the logo. I was like, here we go. Like, this is it. And there's a universe where I would have loved to see how that game plays out if Tyrese Halliburton plays.
Yeah. Like, and then there was a period where TJ McConnell, although they were still losing, looked like he was going to will them back and become your finals MVP that you threw out there. And
is that the other thing that I was right? I mean, he ended up with 16 points, 6 rebounds, 3. So that's almost the exact stat line that I gave you.
Which, by the way, after our show, that bet became the most popular finals bet. So thank you to all the listeners for getting in on that bet. Tim will refund you next week. He will send you refunds. DraftKings probably will, right? Like, oh, you lost, we'll refund you. Just he might have had
They did refund a few sports books did refund all Tyrese Halliburton props.
Whatever.
You would never. God, you would never.
Like, whatever. I mean, like, if you're gonna bet something, you got to know it's gonna happen. You got to know there could be an injury. There's a risk to betting it. But it's so soft. But I guess it's the one bonus that a sports book might be able to do for you after charging you 50 cents to make that bet. Then okay, I guess it's fine. But so silly.
Well, that's
silly.
Really all it is. It's just PR for them. It just makes them look really good and noble as they just drain your money.
But it's like bonus. It's bonus bets too. So you can't even take it out. Like you're gonna have to put it on the next bet.
Which I'm gonna lose.
No, we will.
No matter what, I'm gonna lose it because I'm
you're gonna give us $350. Okay, we'll put it on the Houston Texans to beat the Jets. Yeah. Anyways,
this is the one Jets win in like a 9-week stretch, dude.
We're bad bettors.
The most sad I've ever been, man, in a long time. That night.
You were none too happy. Shall we talk about next year's betting odds for the NBA title? Favorites? Oklahoma City Thunder. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I had it pulled up, or at least I should have. You would think I would have had it pulled up, but yeah, the Thunder are a big favorite, which makes sense. Like, even though the conference is tougher, like who right now would you say is their biggest challenger today? We haven't had a draft yet. We haven't had free agency yet. I know teams are already making some moves like Houston, and we're going to talk about that in a second, sort of changing that playoff picture. But is there a team right now in the West where you're like, if there's one team that I think could really challenge OKC as constructed, it's who in the West?
Well, I mean, I think the right answer still has to be Minnesota is the biggest challenger, right? Like they've challenged them 2 years in a row. Now, can they beat them? I would like to say your Lakers, but like until they figure out what they're going to do around LeBron and Luka, it's still those two, but like they're going to be another year older. They're going to have
if they swing a trade for Bam Adebayo or Nick Claxton or whatever, then that changes the math a little bit. But I'm just asking, like right now, today,
I think it's got to be Minnesota.
Yeah. So okay, I got the odds here. So this is from FanDuel. OKC is your big favorite at plus 220. Next, and this shouldn't be a surprise based on how the East looks with all these injuries. The Cleveland Cavaliers plus 800. Then you have the Houston Rockets, who have now become the third highest title favorite at plus 850. The Knicks are at plus 900. So that's your top four. And then, Rodney, I think you'll like this because I don't know why. I've always envisioned you, if you had to be a fan of one team, it's this team. The Orlando Magic right now have the fifth best championship odds at plus 1,200.
That's pretty crazy.
That's higher than the Timberwolves. That's higher than the Lakers. That's higher than the Nuggets. That's higher than the Warriors. Like, that's crazy.
I do love the city of Orlando. I do love the Magic jersey. They are sharp. And nice. I am nice. Very fond of Paolo Banchero, our guy, Paulo. But I'm not buying into the young Orlando Magic to win the NBA Finals. I'm just not. But, I mean, Boston's not going to win it now. New York, you mentioned them. Cleveland's there. Milwaukee's not going to win it anymore. Philadelphia is not going to win it. So, I mean, I guess Orlando's right there at top three in the East.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, good on them, though, for knowing that and for seeing how the East was shaping up and seeing that, hey, there's a window. Like, Paulo is really good. Paulo's an all-star player. Franz Wagner's probably borderline all-star, but like really good, solid player. Desmond Bane, I think, as a number, what would he be there? Is he like their fourth best player? Would you put him behind Suggs or ahead of Suggs?
Probably ahead. He's probably 3.
Okay. So as your number 3, that's pretty good. Like that starting 5 in Orlando is really solid right now. And I think the move is exactly what they needed. Now, is it going to be enough to beat Cleveland in a 7-game series? Is it going to be enough to beat the Knicks? And honestly, yeah, I know Indiana doesn't have Halliburton next year. Are we sure the Indiana Pacers aren't going to be pretty good again? I mean, like, we're putting their odds right now at plus 5,000. The Sixers are at plus 3,400. Like, what? Like, they're giving the Pacers and the Pistons identical odds.
Yeah, that's wild. Not sure what's going on there. Indiana doesn't seem priced correctly. I mean, Halliburton being out hurts, but like
we've seen,
they have dudes. They have dudes that'll step up. Now, do they have enough? That's the question. Are they going to make move? Probably not, right? Like,
Yeah, well, Turner's a free agent, and the way that Game 7, I mean, 24 minutes, he didn't play at all down the stretch for them. He had 6 points. He had a really bad series overall. It seems like that's finally the end of his time there. So they got to figure out what they're going to do at the 5. But Siakam's still there, and I mean, like, Nembhard is a dude. Like, McConnell, obviously off the bench. I would assume he's their starter now. Like, I think that's a really solid backup plan. Matherin's going to get better. Ben Shepherd's going to get better. Like, they have a lot of guys that can step up, and like Rick Carlisle's still an excellent coach. Like, I don't know why we're just like, oh, Halliburton's done, the whole team's dead. Like, that's not how I view them, because it's not like he scores 30 a night for them. Like, right. They got 7 other guys that can all get double figures for them any given night.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. They being the same odds as the Pistons is head scratching to me. I mean, don't get me wrong. Pistons are coming. The Pistons are coming, but to put them both in the same class of odds, I'm not there. I don't agree with that one. You mentioned that right away after the finals, and I was like, yeah, that one doesn't seem right. I would probably put Indiana more at I'd probably cut that in half, like 25 to 1.
Yeah,
it would probably be better odds for the Pacers.
Yeah, and the Celtics, who in the last 24 hours have traded Drew Holiday, and Kristaps Porzingis. They got under the second apron. So I think with those 2 moves to get under the second apron, they've now saved themselves $180 million tax dollars.
Wow.
Jason Tatum's out for the year, presumably.
Yeah. There's
rumblings even that they might look to get off of Jaylen Brown. Now, I don't know if that's still the case now that they move Porzingis and Holiday, but they're still without those 3 guys. So it's basically it's Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, and Derek White next year, right? They're still at plus 1,700, which would put them 4th in the East.
Yeah, no, I'm not going there with them. I mean, you're going to have Tatum. I mean, Jaylen Brown's a nice player, but like without Tatum, that team's not winning that. I don't.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked at how high they are. Yeah. And maybe it's just because there's so many question marks about Philly and Detroit and Milwaukee. Like, Milwaukee is sitting at plus 7,000 right now. There's Damian Lillard's going to be out for them, and they could trade Giannis here. And so that price, I would imagine, is just going to plummet even further. Right. It's just so I guess it's just more like I guess the Celtics there, right? Because who else, right? Like, that's really the reasoning that the odds makers have. Is like, who else,
right? And the Knicks still haven't hired a coach yet, right?
No, they do not have a coach. They spent amazing that they fired Tom Thibodeau. Clearly did not have a clear person in mind. Like, a lot of people thought, okay, that's where Mike Malone's going to end up. Like, I don't even think his name was linked to them once. Instead, they tried to go after half the coaches in the NBA that currently have jobs, and then get rejected for all of them. And now they got to interview a bunch of has-beens. Like, I don't know how they feel like they've improved their chances.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm kind of lost on that one too. That one doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on now. Let's stick with the NBA, but I have a new game that we're going to play. It's called Let's Bounce Around. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in the sports world. I feel like we should probably cover at least a few of these things. So, Rodney, let's bounce around.
Let's do it.
All right. Number 1, Kevin Durant trade is what?
Not surprising and very interesting for Houston. I mean, we kind of mentioned this, that Houston really needs to find fine-tune their roster a little bit. Got nice players, got a good core, and now it's interesting because now they've got who they hope is their over-the-top leader. Now, Kevin Durant's old, so but he's got a lot of dudes around him now. So interesting. It's an interesting trade.
Yeah.
And I don't mind it one bit. I think Houston's got to make an effort at going for it. And if this is their effort, fine. I don't mind the trade.
What amazes me about Kevin Durant is I feel like a lot of basketball fans, and maybe I'm a little bit guilty of this too, they have this view of Kevin Durant. They're like, oh, he's 36 years old. He's going to be 37 on opening night, where he's washed, he's not a difference maker. Kevin Durant, for a bad Suns team last year that had its fair share of problems, scored 26.5 points a game. He hasn't scored fewer than 26 points a game since his first year in Golden State, where he was sharing the ball with Steph and Clay and all those guys. He's still scoring efficiently. He shot 43% from three. It's 53% from the field. He's still doing exactly what he's always done. Now, is he going to do it for 82 games? No, but is that not the exact type of guy that if you're Houston, you're desperately looking for? Jalen Green is good. He's not that good. And also Jalen Green, his contract is that's going to be expensive. That's an expensive extension to tie yourself down to for a guy who is probably not going to be a number one for you, on a championship team. He's not.
Right. No, I agree with you. And I'm going back to the Kevin Durant. He is still a dude, right? 26 points are pretty amazing. But he's 36. How healthy can he play? How healthy?
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. If you get 65 games out of him in the regular season, but he's healthy, he's engaged, he's good to go for the playoffs, that's a success.
Yeah.
They'll be a playoff team, and that's really what matters.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. They'll for sure be a playoff team. They're not the team I can say is the biggest threat at Oklahoma City yet, because we just don't know how this is going to work with, new players. And I mean, Houston was the 2 seed, and they added a future Hall of Famer. So you would think they're going to be there, but I can't get them to that next level yet. I can't get there with them. I guess I got to see how this is going to go before I get them there.
By the way, the Suns have the third worst finals odds. The only two teams that are worse than them, are you ready for this? The lowest odds to win the NBA Finals, it's a tie. The Portland Trailblazers, who just got Jrue Holiday, and the Chicago Bulls.
They don't just have 7 really kind of good players and everybody else. Yeah. So Portland, is Portland going to keep Holiday though?
It sounds like it. And this, I might be in the minority here, but I thought the trade somewhat makes sense for Portland. In terms of they have a lot of guards already. So Simons was on an expiring deal, so he's got 1 year left. Probably weren't going to pay him because you got Scoot Henderson, you got other guys. Portland was actually a pretty solid defensive team for the second half of the year. Jrue Holiday is only going to improve that, and he also is still at a point in his career where if Portland wants to ship him at the deadline to a contender, get assets, it makes sense. I don't know. I wasn't bashing Portland the way that a lot of people were when they made that deal.
Yeah, Jrue Holiday just seems like that guy has been a lot of places, but just continues to be effective a lot of places. I just wondered if he was part of their future plans, being older, it's been a younger squad. But, you're right. They do want to get some veteran defensive leadership in there and build that way. But I was surprised by that trade, not negatively, just surprised that one went down.
Mm-hmm. All right, switching gears here real quick. I'm moving to baseball. This Cal Raleigh guy, he might be pretty good. For those who are not watching Seattle Mariners games, I'm not, but I'm in the know. Cal Raleigh, their catcher right now, through 77 games, has 32 homers, 68 RBI. He's got an OPS well over 1,000. There is a chance, Rodney, that Cal Raleigh could have the most home runs before the All-Star break.
Yeah.
Which for perspective, Barry Bonds in his 73 home run year had 39 homers at the break. Cal Raleigh's at 32 right now. The Mariners have 19 games left before the break. So basically 19 games to get 8 homers.
Right.
And the way he's hitting, like there's a chance that Cal Raleigh at catcher can have 40 home runs at the break.
Yeah.
And
he just hit 5 in the last 4 games, did not homer tonight. So I mean, his base is there. The big dumper, Cal Raleigh.
Big dumper.
He's pretty good. 28 years old, big boy out of Florida State. For MVP though.
Well, so this is the question. This is the question, Rodney, and this is the argument people are going to make: is what's more impressive, a 58 home run season from Judge, a right fielder, and let's say finishes like a 330 average, or Cal Raleigh ends up with 48 home runs at catcher, and like the Mariners make the playoffs. That's really the difference. There's a positional value, and like there are people that are going to say that what Cal Raleigh's doing at catcher and also at the plate is more valuable than what Aaron Judge is doing in right field with the Yankees.
Yeah,
and like I'm a little biased here, but like I get it. I understand the argument, and if Cal Raleigh is going to end up hitting 50 homers, it's going to be really, really hard to say. Sorry, he doesn't deserve it because it's a right fielder that has a few more homers than you do. And he might not. Like Cal Raleigh could end up with more homers than Judge when it's all said and done. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess my thought was, what's Cal Raleigh's batting average? But 278 is nothing to bat an eye at. I wondered, and I know batting average is kind of his prehistoric or whatever, but like my thought was, well, is he at like 220? Because like you're not going to see. But 280, almost 280, that's pretty dang good. And that's going to keep him in consideration. And there is going to be that line where it's like, okay, he's got a real low batting average, but all these home runs, but 278 is still plenty high enough to keep him right there. So it's an interesting talk. It's an interesting discussion. Pretty good. But will Seattle make the playoffs is the next question. I mean, they're right there with their 4.5 back, but they're right there in the wild card. And, you look at the AL and like, who are going to be those wild card teams? Because the East is just kind of all bunched. They're all pretty good, but bunched, but probably going to beat up on each other a little bit. I don't know as if the Central's going to get anybody outside of Detroit. Cleveland just can't find traction. Kansas City hasn't figured it out. Minnesota was hot for a while, but they're 4 back. They're 4 under 500 now. So
they gave up 1 billion runs in the last few games.
Yeah, so it's to Cal Raleigh. But I mean, Seattle, and I mean, your former team, the Angels, aren't that far out of the wild card team. But we
were talking about this. We were talking about this last week. Like, there's only 2 teams in the American League right now that I'm for sure saying, they're done. Like they're not doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, but Cleveland, Kansas City, Minnesota need to start figuring it out, or they're going to be on that list by the break. I mean, Cleveland's 39 and 38. Kansas City and Minnesota are under 500. So, a great question. If he gets to 50 home runs, close to 50 home runs, it's going to be hard to consider him not consider him for MVP. You're right.
By the way, shout out to your St. Louis Cardinals. Another win over the Chicago Cubs. The Cardinals are suddenly only 2.5 back in the division.
That's correct. And you need to check out Nolan Arenado's play to finish the game. Was kind of shaded by a runner and had to come back up and barehand it and threw Dansby out. So listen, Nolan Arenado, you know my affection for Nolan Arenado. He's still a certified dude. He still gets the job done. Now he's not batting 300 and hitting 40 home runs, but he's won 10 Gold Gloves. He's hit 350 plus home runs now. He's going to Hall of Fame, right? He's going to Hall of Fame.
I love Nolan Arenado. I do. I would put Nolan Arenado in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if other people would. Like, I think a lot of people are going to. Well, okay. Let me back up for a second. I think Scott Rowland making the Hall of Fame was the best thing to ever happen to Nolan Arenado.
Yeah.
like in his chances of making the Hall. But then you see other third basemen that were sort of comparable. Like David Wright is someone who I think had a very good, long, very strong career. At times people were probably thinking he had Cooperstown, and then there was no shot for him. I think Arenado probably has more hardware though to consider, but and the fact that Larry Walker and Todd Helton have now made it, so we've sort of gotten over that Colorado bias a little bit. Yeah, it's gonna be close, man. It's gonna be close. I don't think that he would be a first ballot guy, but he's probably someone who might have that Roland-esque, like, hey, he's gonna start at 25%, but then maybe increase more and more.
Now he's going in as a Colorado Rocky, right?
He should. Like he should.
I agree with you. Yeah. And obviously, being a Cardinal fan, I do agree with you. But let's say somehow he does finish his career in St. Louis. I don't think it's going to happen, right? With all this talk, eventually he's going to go, right? Or maybe not. He does seem to be having fun with this team, and they are competitive. I can't imagine he's at the point now where it's like, I really want out of here at the deadline. Let's see what happens over the next 30 days. But like, let's say he does finish his career in St. Louis. If there's another couple years, there will be an argument for him going in as a Cardinal. But I think he got going as a Rocky.
So I used to think that the players chose the hat that they have on their plaque, and now I believe the Hall of Fame is the one that chooses. Like I think that they consider the players, like in a case of Greg Maddux, where it's like there's a strong case for the Braves and the Cubs, like they'll ask the player and see what the preference is. But I think the Cooperstown probably selects, and I would imagine that in Arenado's case, they would select the Rockies just because that's where the bulk of his career was. That was where the accolades were, all his all-star appearances. Like they would do that. Now, here's a good one. If Paul Goldschmidt, because I think Paul Goldschmidt, once his career is all wrapped up, he could have an interesting case. Would it be as a Diamondback or a Cardinal? Because that one I could legitimately see him going in with the St. Louis hat, where he has the MVP. I mean, he spent more time. He spent more time in St. Louis than Arenado has, right? So
yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I never really considered Goldschmidt as a Cardinal in the Hall of Fame. So that's a good one. I'd have to look more into the years and the stats for that one. But no, that's a good conversation to have too. Mm-hmm. Not a Yankee. Not going to go in as a Yankee.
Not going to go in as a Yankee. No. Well, actually, if he delivers his postseason, gets a ring, he might.
Yeah. He might. Dan says TBS Sports says players' input is considered, but the committee makes final call. So you kind of what I thought.
Yeah.
But, it's interesting.
All right. This is a little random. I know that we did a blind NFL head coach ranking a couple weeks ago. For you nailed, but it's officially the off season. This is where you sort of look for content anywhere you can find it. And I was perusing through the internet as I am one to do, and Pro Football Network put out just what I thought at first was just going to be a harmless little post: 2025 NFL head coach rankings. So what they did is they took the 25 returning head coaches and they ranked them 1 through 25. And there's no surprises at the top. You had Andy Reid as number 1, Sean McVay number 2, John Harbaugh number 3. They had only your guy, Nick Sirianni 4, Dan Campbell 5. Okay, fine. And you could say, well, where's Kyle Shanahan? Is Jim Harbaugh? Should he be there? Whatever. I didn't really care too much about that. What I do care about, Rodney, is who they had at the bottom. Do you want to know their bottom 5 head coaches in the NFL?
I'm here for it. Just shoot them out at me.
All right, 21, Shane Steichen, Indianapolis Colts. 22, Raheem Morris, Atlanta Falcons. 23, Dave Canales, Carolina Panthers. 24, Brian Callahan, Tennessee Titans. And number 25, considered by Pro Football Network to be the worst returning head coach in the NFL, Brian Daboll, New York Football Giants. Am I biased? Like, am I missing something? Like, I know the last 2 years haven't been particularly good, but like, is that because of Brian Daboll? Or is it
No.
because like it was Daniel Jones and a bad roster? Like I've never once viewed the Giants the last couple of years as, oh, the reason that they're so bad is because of the head coach. Like
Right.
I'm stunned when I saw that.
Yeah, no, that's a recency bias, honestly. Like that's, 2 years of really poor football because it's a poorly constructed roster and a bad quarterback situation, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm not, and you mentioned some names there, and Dable should be ahead of probably all those guys. Like,
Yeah, like if you were starting a team, Rodney, all right, you're starting a team, just a regular run-of-the-mill team projected for like 8 wins, right? Would you rather have Brian Callahan or Brian Dable?
oh yeah, Dable for sure.
Right? And like, would you rather have Brian Dable or Shane Steichen at
Yeah,
this juncture?
Dable for
Like,
sure.
Dable was the coach of the year at this time 2 years ago. He was coming off of a playoff appearance and he was the NFL coach of the year.
That's
And now
wild.
he's now we're talking about him being one of the worst coaches of the NFL. Like, we're missing the point here. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean that's more clickbait, right? Like that's
Yeah.
somebody's looking for work to do in the off season, and it also really what it shows is how volatile coaching is in general. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
become you're an elite coach with a good team, you're a terrible coach with a bad team. Period. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
what do they always say? You can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit, right? Like if
Mm-hmm.
you have bad players, you're not a good coach. And it doesn't make sense, but that's every sport, and that's every level. That's high school, that's college, that's
Yeah.
professional. And it's kind of tiring, but we
Yeah.
haven't really figured out the metric on how to rank these guys or determine these guys other than wins and losses.
I mean, just look at the NBA. Frank Vogel, Mike Budenholzer, Mike Malone were NBA champions.
Yeah.
They were head coaches that won championships that were all fired within 2 years of said championships.
Right. Yeah. Wild.
Yeah. And some of them weren't even losing when they got fired.
Yeah.
Malone they were like 4 games away from the playoffs, and they're just like, all right, see you, dude.
See ya. Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Coaching in general is a very volatile career. So if anyone out there is considering it, just understand how volatile it is.
Just don't consider it. That would be my recommendation. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. All right. Last little topic of let's bounce around. Rodney St. Louis Blues. They have a rebrand. And the blue note is kind of different, but also not really. The uniforms are kind of different, but not really.
Right.
What were your thoughts there? I know that you were not like as much of a carer about logo and uniform stuff in sports, but like, did the rebrand of your favorite hockey team have any sort of impact on you today, or were you like, yeah, this kind of just looks the same?
That's definitely what I was like. I was like, oh, and then I was like, oh, but what did they do? I don't care what their look is necessarily. I do because, as you know, I have been in the jersey business for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I do care about that. And like,
Mm-hmm.
if every team wanted a new rebranding every year, fine, because that means more people are going to buy your stuff. I get this. Like, we all get what happens here. I mean, I'll get a sweater. I'll get a new sweater and compare it to the old ones. I've got a handful of Blues jerseys over the years that, go back and look at them and see what differences there are. But I do like the light blue a lot of times in the Blues. I felt like there maybe was a little more light blue. I'm gonna have to take more closer look. I wasn't wowed by it, but I wasn't like, oh, that's hideous. It's fine, right? It's fine.
It looked more like they had
players on the ice.
Yeah. They've had like retro uniforms that looked very similar to that. So they basically was like, yeah, let's just do that. Let's just make that the uniform. Yeah. It would be cool if they incorporated that like red that they used to have back in the 90s. I think that would have been quite the bold move if they were going to do a real rebrand. And I don't know. Do a lot of fans miss that look for them?
I don't know. I mean, they do have the red alternate jerseys, which I think are pretty sharp.
Yeah.
But and red is kind of synonymous with St. Louis, right? So it wouldn't have been that far out of place. But it's kind of weird to be the Blues and wear red, isn't it? Like, I don't know.
I've always thought that about my New York Football Giants, the team that is referred to as Big Blue.
Yeah.
And then wears a away uniform that is white and red with no blue anywhere except the helmets. Like I always thought that was odd.
Yeah, no, but, I mean it would be different if the Blues were wearing red all the time. But it would go well in St. Louis, and it would match my wardrobe as a Morton Potter red and a St. Louis Cardinal red. And if the Blues just wanted to go red, and I could just wear red all the time. So that brings me to a point. I wore a green T-shirt today, Tim, and my daughters were like, "I don't think I've ever seen you wear green before."
I don't think I've seen you wear green.
Well, okay, so let me share a story.
What shade of green? What shade of green?
So let me share a story real quick. Actually, give me 10 seconds. Give me 10 seconds.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna give you more than 10 seconds. Okay, it seems like you're getting the actual shirt here. This is big news. Hold on. We're gonna get some banners up here. Okay. Oh, Mountain. Okay, so it's like the off-brand Mountain Dew, but it's Mountain Dudes.
But look underneath. Mount Rushmore.
Whoa.
Right? That's so good for our show. And it's actually a great shirt.
That is a great. Did you get that at Mount Rushmore, or was it gifted to you?
They did. My girls just got back. They got back.
Oh, that's right.
This week. What
were their thoughts? What were their thoughts?
They did a lot of stuff that I probably wouldn't have vibed as much with. I mean, they're 12 and 8, and my wife will do anything outdoors. So like they loved it. Jonah and I stayed home, and we're like, yeah, we probably are okay missing this one. Just they loved seeing bison. There was a real bison, probably 50 feet from them. I don't know. I would have been like, oh yeah, there it is. I don't.
Well, that's what happens. I remember driving through that area. The first bison you see, it's incredible. It's like, oh my God, look at it. So big, majestic. You see a couple of like, this is so cool. And then it takes about 10 minutes before you're like, oh great. And more bison. Like then they start just becoming hairy cows to you.
Yeah.
And like the same reaction that you see when you see a bunch of cows, that's then how you feel about bison. Like after those initial few, you're just like, yeah,
cool.
There's more bison. Yep.
But
yep. I still eat them. Right.
I actually think that's a great shirt. That's a great shirt.
It is. It is a good shirt.
I'm a notorious Mountain Dew drinker. I do love my Mountain Dew. It is my morning choice. I'm not a coffee guy. I'm a Mountain Dew guy. I kind of inherited that from my grandfather, who was 90 years old, still drinking a Mountain Dew per day in the 90s. And so I kind of was like, listen, like it can't be that bad for you. He lived to mid 90s and drank Mountain Dew. So putting that with that shirt, fantastic. So a new favorite shirt, and that was the only green I've probably wore in a decade.
No, it's a great shirt. And I'm glad that you are incorporating more colors into your wardrobe. That takes a lot of personal growth. And I think our audience is proud of you for that.
There we go.
I like the shirt a lot.
If we had the software that we tried a week ago, we could have had the.
Yeah, there could have been applause. There could have been fanfare. Instead, it would just be like it would freeze and then kick us out and
like ranker.com all over again.
Get anywhere. Oh God, I forgot about ranker.com. Oh my goodness. The worst website in the universe is ranker.com.
Oh, but you're right. That brings us to the Mount Rushmore of 77, which you can go ahead and start the Never 77. You can go ahead and tell us the first face on the 77 Mount Rushmore.
There's a shocking amount of NBA players that have worn 77. Like we've been in a stretch now for months, I think, where it's been so hard to get NBA guys. And then suddenly I get to 77. Did you know that there's been 23 NBA players to wear the number 77?
I did not.
The obvious one is Luka Doncic, skinny Luka. he is a lock on the Rushmore. This is the Luka show. This is the Luka episode of the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth. But I'm going to tell you just some of the other guys in the NBA that have worn 77 that you probably didn't remember, that at least wore it like a couple years. So Ersan Ilyasova, I know you know Ersan, wore it with the Bucks, wore it with the Jazz. Joffrey Laverne, who you might remember, he was kind of a bench warmer for the Nuggets, played a year for the Bulls. This one you'll definitely remember. Vladimir Radmanovich, the former Seattle Supersonic. I think he was a career number 77. Omer Yurtseven, role player with the Heat for a couple of years. I think he still might be in the league somewhere, but he's number 77. But like, that's a few. Bones Highland is wearing it right now for the Minnesota Timberwolves. DeMar Carroll wore it when he was with the Spurs. Andrea Bargnani wore it when those 2 years with the Knicks. That's a shocking amount from the NBA.
It is. I never would have imagined it. Obviously, Luka, we knew that one, but I did not know a lot of the rest of those. So, not bad.
So, obviously, Vladimir Radmanovich is going to occupy a spot on the Rushmore.
Yeah.
It's Luka. It's Luka. His face is going to be bigger than all the others. Baseball, I don't feel good about anyone.
No.
Apparently, Pudge Rodriguez wore it for 1 year when he was with Houston.
Okay. Current players, I just saw Chris Flexen pitched for the Cubs.
Yeah.
He's been like 7 or 8 years. Now I'm not advocating for him to be on Mount Rushmore. 5 years, okay.
5 years.
Joe Jimenez probably wore it the longest at 8 years in the league, but negative WAR in his career. The one single season, though, Tim Anderson, old fighter Tim, with your Angels, well, that's this year.
I don't even think he's on the team anymore. He might have got DFA'd.
Well, he wore 77. Other than that, I can't really condone much baseball-wise at all.
I know Dan is so excited to get to hockey, but real quick in football, Willie Roaf wore number 77. Andrew Whitworth, who I think he'll probably be a Hall of Famer. Andrew Whitworth, would you agree?
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
So, like, that's Tyron Smith, is he retired now? Tyron Smith, did he retire?
I can't.
I know he was with the Jets last year. I honestly don't remember, but like 8-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro. Tyron Smith might be one of those eventual Hall of Famers. So like some pretty good offensive linemen. We've been running into a lot of really solid offensive linemen as we've been in the 70s. But yeah, Willie Roaf, Andrew Whitworth, Tyron Smith are all really solid pieces. Maybe one of them gets on. Hockey. All right. So let's see. All right, Dan might be onto something here. There's a lot of good hockey ones. I'm going to fire some names, and you just give me your reactions, okay? So we have Ray Bourque, Hall of Fame defenseman.
Yeah, 13 years or so in the league. Pretty good one.
Yeah, really, really good one. We have Jeff Carter, Stanley Cup winner, LA Kings.
Dozen years or so in the league, so yeah.
Yeah. Paul Coffey. Bunch of teams, but I believe also a Hall of Famer. Yeah, another defenseman. He's got almost 400 goals, 1,100 assists.
7 different teams, including the Hartford Whalers.
Phil Esposito, only wore for 5 years, but Phil Esposito, another Hall of Famer. Victor Hedman, current defenseman, likely going to be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. Career Tampa Bay Lightning. He's worn it for 15 years now. Honestly, that's a pretty solid one too. You also have Adam Oates, longtime Washington Capital. He's a Hall of Famer as well. TJ Oshie. We've had TJ Oshie a bunch, but his whole career with the Capitals, he was number 77. But the problem is TJ Oshie, we put him on for 74. We made that tribute. So I don't know if we can have TJ Oshie on for 77 as well. Yeah. And then just to wrap it up a little bit, Pierre Turgeon, another Hall of Famer, Sabres, Canadiens, Islanders, your Blues. This is St. Louis Blue for 5 years. He was also 77. So a loaded hockey list.
Yeah. So what are we going to do after Luka?
Yeah. So this is kind of where I'm at here. I think we take one of the NFL guys. Make your pick. Roaf, Whitworth, Tyron Smith. I have a hunch, but I want to hear who you say.
I mean, I kind of like Whitworth, to be honest with you.
I kind of like Whitworth. That's who I was going to say. Yeah, I feel good about Andrew Whitworth there.
Yeah. All right, Luca and Andrew Whitworth, and then we got to pick two hockey.
I'll take two hockey guys. I think we give it to Ray Bork.
Yep.
And then probably would come down to Victor Hedman or Paul Coffey. And I'm going to say Victor Hedman gets the nod because while Paul Coffey is a Hall of Famer, he also had 7 teams. Victor Hedman has done it all with one team. He's had multiple cups. He's a franchise icon for Tampa Bay. And if Dan disagrees, he could shut up. So
I actually think you're right. I like that list quite a bit. And that's a pretty impressive list. I mean, we got some certified dudes there. So Luca, Whitworth, Bork, and Hedman.
Yeah. And we're leaving off Hall of Famers in multiple sports.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of the Rushmore, man. You have to make these tough decisions. And Rodney and I have the guts to do so.
No, I like that. I like that. We can.
Stop it! I don't care. Turgeon.
We got to get that. We got to get this one up in writing and talk about the honorable mentions sometime. But no, that's a good one. Mount Rushmore 77. It's a good number.
Luke is like always the person that comes to mind, but like 77, it deserves a lot more respect. I don't think we'll have the same luck for 78 or 79, but then Rodney. It's the 80s. Yeah. And boy, oh boy, we're going to have fun.
So next Friday will be our start of that. Nice. Let's do it.
Nice. All right. Well, that about does it for the stupidest sports show on earth. I don't know if you meant this Friday or next Friday, but I might as well announce it. I'm not available this Friday. So
that's great because neither am I.
Look at that. That's perfect.
That's actually awesome that you said that because while the show was going on, I got a text about getting one of my kids somewhere by like 8:30 in the morning. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. So no show on Friday. So it looks like we're going the following Tuesday. I'll make sure we get a message out there so people aren't waking up early for our show and let them down. But a short summer break. We'll be back a week from today. Next Tuesday night. But no, that works out well. See, we just work in unison here. Like I can't be available. I can't be available. Perfect. Moving on.
Perfect. And that's why we decided to go 3 extra minutes of high quality content to make up for no show on Friday.
Well, what about
we care too much.
What about the 8 minutes that we had the air last week or any of the times that I've been disconnected?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you mean. It's not a thing. Not a thing. We've consistently been on the air as long as we've needed to deliver the takes, the news. We've made people laugh. We've made people cry. Mostly cry.
All right. Well, enjoy whatever you are doing on Friday, and I will be transporting kids back and forth to whatever their next destination is. But enjoy that Friday.
I sure will, man. And I will see you a week from tonight. As everyone who listened, a reminder, by the way, that even though we won't be on the show for Friday, Rodney will still be putting out a Substack. He's been doing so every single day. Make sure to follow there on Stupid Sports Show on Substack. He is literally giving you free picks. He is making people lots of money. So just sign up for that. It's no cost, and it'll hit your inbox every single afternoon. So it's well worth it. And also follow us on Twitter at Stupid Sports Show. And reminder that you can download, listen, subscribe, all of our 77 episodes of the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, etc.
Yes, sir.
So that's all I got. So,
all right, let's get out of here.
I'm spent. I'm tired. You take us home, man. I'm tired.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. And that has been the Stupidest Sports Show, episode 77. We will see you next Tuesday, same time, same place. See you guys.
See ya.
Step right up, dummies, and listen to the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth with Rodney Newpol and Tim Van Stratton. Step right up.